guys! So you might notice that we're in a different place today.
Yay! We have new equipment courtesy of my boyfriend, and also because of you lovely patrons out there who are enabling us to continue putting the more effort and time into this.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. So we'll keep making videos for you guys, so we really, really appreciate your support. So yeah, so today we wanted to do this topic because actually a commenter mentioned this, and I thought it was a valid comment, that they said that like we say that FI is selfish, and then we also say that we should stop being too nice, or like Calypso said, INFP, stop being so nice, right? So I was like, well, okay, this is actually like, I think a valid point, but I feel like actually we're talking about two separate things here, so we kind of wanted to clarify these two different variables. So like you could be both FI and too nice, or like any combination of FE, FI, nice, not nice.
Right, yeah, and I took a slightly different approach in discussing subconscious FI and FE versus conscious FI and conscious FE, because a lot of INFPs and INFJs seem to be getting their types mixed up, and according to you guys, those are the hardest types to distinguish from. And this is because subconscious FE can look like conscious FE, and the same thing, like subconscious FI can look like conscious FI, but it's not.
So yeah, so basically someone said, okay, so like why would FI be selfish, and then also INFPs could be too nice to people, right? So I understand this kind of, this supposed conflict, right? But I don't think it actually is a conflict. It's sort of two different things that don't have to be mutually exclusive. So what Calypso is talking about in her video was codependency, I guess, which is a learned behavior. So it's not really the same thing as a cognitive function. I guess it's kind of like a technical psychological term. We won't really discuss it much in depth. You can go and find other resources on the internet. But basically, there's like a spectrum of like codependency to like narcissism, and we aren't really talking about the personality disorder of narcissism. Just, you know, you can have weak boundaries on either side, right? And so on the codependency side, you can give too much. On the narcissism side, maybe you expect too much. And both are sort of learned behaviors, usually learned from at childhood. So it depends on the environment you're placed in, and not really so much on your cognitive functions.
I feel like this is a good segue into talking about the subconscious FE of FPs. So all FPs have pretty good subconscious FE, and this often manifests, even if you're not codependent, it often manifests in a extreme lack of desire to hurt others. Like usually, pretty much all FPs you speak to, they don't want to consciously hurt others unless it's like absolutely necessary. And yeah, some of the INFPs that I've spoken to who believe they're INFJ believe that their desire to like preserve other people's feelings is FE, but really it's just a subconscious FE, and really it's like part of conscious FI. Like your value is to not cause unnecessary pain. The other thing about subconscious FE of FPs is that they're often aware of what other people are feeling. So obviously this lacks like the FE element of actually changing them, but most FPs are totally, like they can easily pick up what other people are feeling intuitively. Okay, and then the third and final thing is that they tend to very strongly dislike conflict. Like, yeah, that's definitely, I don't know of any FPs who like, if they could not have conflict, they prefer that unless it's just like so necessary, i.e. when like people's values are being threatened. So that could also lead an FP to think that they're an FE user, like an NFJ, but they're not.
So you could have like these, you know, learned behaviors that have nothing to do with your type, and it could manifest no matter what type you are. So let me talk about what, you know, FI and FE actually is then. So I guess these are two cognitive functions, so it's something you're born with, and it's just about like a structure. Sorry, we have a cat off screen going crazy here. So yeah, so cognitive functions are the structure of your cognition, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that FI is like inherently selfish and FE is inherently selfless. I guess it's more just about the process, right? So like Calypso said, FI is just internally figuring out your own values based on subjective criteria, right? But you could subjectively think that, social harmony is a good thing and that you don't want to hurt other people. So it's not really conflicting with FI at all. It's, I guess this is, the Michael Pierce thing of conflating structure with content, right? The structure of FI is internal and subjective, but you can still have the content of your FI values being I value other people's feelings and things like that.
Yeah, I think that instead of thinking FI as selfish and FE as selfless, I think it's really FI is self-referential. Well, no matter what FI is analyzing, it uses the self and its own values as a reference. So basically, your own values are building on top of other values that you already have, which to the outsider can obviously seem selfish, or at least self-absorbed. And then for FE, it's others referential. So an FI and FE user can both, for example, value peace, but the FE user sees peace as something objective, and the FI users just value it based on their own experiences.
Yeah, or FE might see it more as like an outcome to be achieved through like emotional means, and FI is just like, oh, I'm just going to hold myself to these kind of standards. And it's just kind of maybe a different process of going about it. And oppositely, FE isn't inherently selfless, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all. Like an FE user, a lot of times FE user might kind of overextend themselves or feel like they have to do all these things for other people, but alternatively, you can have an FE user who knows completely when to like set appropriate boundaries for themselves and just say in a very polite FE way, like, okay, sorry, I need to go now, or I can't do this for you, or something like that. So, FE doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be this person who like gives too much of yourself to other people. So you can be on either FI, FE, and be on any spectrum of the of the boundary levels. It doesn't necessarily conflate. Yeah, so ultimately, like, the kind of these learned behaviors, like where you might fall on the like codependency narcissism spectrum, will actually determine or predict way more about your behavior than MBTI will.
So I know someone who is kind of higher on the narcissism scale, but she's like a FE dominant person, and so obviously narcissism is the polar opposite of being selfless, and yet she is still FE, and you can tell because once she wants you to feel a certain way, even if it's negative, she can accomplish this like so precisely.
Yeah, and I think alternately I feel like there might be someone, like I think I probably know people like all more on the codependent side, both FI and FE, but more on the narcissistic side, both FI and FE. And ultimately, the behaviors will probably be more similar based on whether you're codependent or narcissistic. It just the process might be a little bit different. I feel like a narcissistic FI user might just
be like totally self-absorbed.
Yeah, just kind of not see anyone else's point of view, and
right.
but not also make a point to like hurt other or like impact other people negatively. And then on the codependent side,
or they might, but like not very skillfully. Maybe like with T.
Not in me, yeah.
Instead of using like FE vibes to like.
Right. And I think the FE codependents are probably the most noticeable because they're skilled at like giving to other people.
Oh,
but
right,
then,
yeah.
But then the FI ones will probably still feel like they should do it and might feel like self-conscious that, oh my gosh, I don't have this FE to like do all these things that I feel like I should do because of my unconscious or subconscious learned behavior. That's the other thing. People, this is mainly like a subconscious learned behavior, right? So most people aren't really aware that they're doing this.
Sure, yeah, I definitely know some like FI user who I will not name, but they always believe that they're like FE dominant because I believe this person is really like codependent, and they're always just hypersensitive of other people's feelings, which FI people are too, but they make it like a pivotal point to not hurt or offend other people. But I mean, that's its own thing. It doesn't have to be FE or FI.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you believe that you are responsible for everyone else's like emotions or whatever, you're just responsible for everyone else's well-being, like codependents do, then of course you're going to be hypersensitive to everyone's everyone's emotions around you, so that you can take care of this. So this is it's just a set of learned behaviors. I know it kind of seems like in structure like FE, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
So thanks for watching, you guys. Since we decided to split this video up into 2 parts, I'm just gonna film an outro for this part. Let us know what you guys think about the structure of FI and FE and how that maybe relates to boundaries or how that doesn't relate to boundaries. If you enjoy our content, please consider pledging your support on Patreon. It really helps us out. And thank you so much to our current patrons. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye!